Hey, what's up, vinyl community? My name's Tom. You're watching Rant District, and this is a contest entry for Brad's channel, H2Vinyl. I'll put a link below. I normally don't do contests. I had a bad experience when I was about to enter my first contest, when I first sent in my membership card and paid my fee for joining the vinyl community. Things went really, really badly due to the vinyl vault, and but I'm not going to get into it. I'm not bitter. Anyway, I dig Brad's channel. Brad's doing a 200 subs contest, and Brad has he has good taste in music. He tends to show things that are a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, and I appreciate that. And I always learn something from Brad, and I enjoy watching videos by people who show things that are not really in my wheelhouse. I mean, if I already know the music, hearing more about the music I already know is kind of repetitive. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Brad hit 200 subs. As a society, we are obsessed by numbers easily divisible by 10. So why not do a contest? Brad, the exception I'm making here is because of the prize you're giving. If by some weird stroke of luck I happen to win this thing, I don't want anything. Please direct the money that you're putting up for this to your local humane society. That's where I would prefer to see any winnings go. And on to it. The contest is to show 5 record labels that remind you of a particular song or a particular band. And the way Brad was explaining it, he was showing some labels. He's very much on the iconic look of an actual label on the record, where they're just kind of a similar label throughout the different bands. For me, it's kind of I'm going to do this a little bit differently, and you'll see as we go. Anyway, I don't know what records I'm going to show yet, so I'm going to go find something that matches up with this contest and come back, and I'll show an entry or this reminds me of that, and I'll piece this together as I go, because being organized is for suckers. I'll be right back. Here we've got Gang of Four, their album Entertainment. This came out on EMI. Here's a look at the label. The EMI label, kind of a tilted EMI in a circle, is down here, kind of hard to see. I'll just insert a quick photo of it. And whenever I see an EMI label, what I think of is a record that's not on EMI, but I think of Never Mind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. Because of their song, track 6 on this thing, if you can see it. Anyway, track 6 is EMI. It's about their disgust with the label EMI. EMI, I think, was the first label to sign the Sex Pistols, and they dropped them after a couple of months. Johnny Lydon and Steve Matlock didn't care because the check had cleared. This is another case where, it's the same. The record label is the record label, but the physical label on the record is not going to look exactly the same. When I think of a record label, I think of the company. I don't think of just the picture of the label. That may not be what you're going for, but that's what you're getting, Brad. Anyway, this is from, I think, 1981, Section 25. Always Now. It's got an old matchbook type cover. This just lifts up and then the record lifts out. This is not really an iconic visual label. Maybe if I hold that still for a little while. There we go. Kind of see it. Anyway, that's Factory. But anytime I think of Factory, I'm always going to come back to Joy Division. Unknown Pleasures. When I think of Factory records, you know, that's iconic for me. Joy Division is iconic. There you go. Okay, we've got the album Relationship of Command by At the Drive-In. And if you can see it, it's on Grand Royale Records. Here's a look at the label for this particular record. It's got the little deck of cards, if you can see that there. Anyway, when I think of Grand Royale, I think of Luscious Jackson. And here's Luscious Jackson's Natural Ingredients, which is on Grand Royale. Again, a different Grand Royale label. But that's Grand Royale. And when I think of Grand Royale, essentially what I think of is the Beastie Boys, because it's the Beastie Boys as a label, and Luscious Jackson and the Beastie Boys were friends as young kids, and they gave Luscious Jackson a chance to be on their label, which worked out great. I mean, I love Luscious Jackson. Anyway, when I think of Grand Royale, I think of the Beastie Boys, which makes me think of Luscious Jackson on the Beastie Boys' label. All right, here we've got the album Movies by Holger Suzuki. Zuke. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. My pronunciation isn't always that great. Holger was the bass player for Can, and this is his debut solo album, pretty sure, from 1979-ish. And that's on the Harvest label, which to me is an iconic looking label. Focus isn't happening today. Focus. There we go. When I think of Harvest, and I suspect this is the case for a lot of people, I think about Wire. This is their debut album, Pink Flag, their best album, in my opinion. And, it's the first track, Reuters. It's up there, for the best ever, in my opinion, debut album, side one, track ones. Reuters is right up there with Janie Jones on the Clash's debut album for best ever debut album, side one, track ones. And the label is very similar to the Holger Suzuki label. There you go. Wire. Great album. This is a relatively recent album. I think it's from 2017. A double 10-inch by The Fall. New Facts Emerged. This is, I'm pretty sure this is, right before Marky Smith passed away. It's on Cherry Red Records. And here's a Cherry Red logo at the bottom. Again, focus is not my friend, but here's the label. And it's got a little Cherry Red logo down there. But when I think of Cherry Red, and again, this is not the same, visually the same label, but it's the same record label. If I think of Cherry Red, I think of Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables by the Dead Kennedys. Their debut album came out in the UK. Pretty sure the UK version came out before the US version. This is the back cover with the heads on the band. The band, they found this postcard in a bin somewhere, and I guess these actual people found out about it. So when this was re-released in short order, This picture does not have the heads on the people. Anyway, this is on cherry red. Different logo, but dead Kennedys, fresh fruit for rotting vegetables on cherry red. From 1991, we've got My Brain Hurts by Screeching Weasel. Screeching Weasel, this is on Lookout Records, and Lookout Records kind of has that look thing going on the label. Again, this is not going to be the exact same label, but when I think of Lookout Records as a label, I think of the band The Lookouts, because that was Larry Livermore's band, and Larry Livermore was the founder of Lookout Records. This is The Lookouts from 1989, I think, Spy Rock Road. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the drummer was Trey Cool. That's before he joined Green Day. Trey Cool, I think, started out when he was around 12 drumming for the Lookouts. And here's a look at the label. You know, you still have that look thing. That's upside down. It says Lookout, but you got that iconic sort of look part of Lookout going on. So when I think of Lookout Records, I think the Lookouts and Spy Rock Road specifically. All right, I've lost count. I think we just needed to do 5. This might be number 6 or 7, but I'm going to just do this last one and call it good. We've got the Plasmatics, New Hope for the Wretched, and that is on Stiff Records. Stiff is an iconic record label. There we go. And whenever I think of Stiff Records, so many bands come to mind, but the primary one that always comes to mind is The Damned. This is their, this is their first release. 7-inch New Rose, backed with Help. And, you know, a little bit different label, because why not, but there you go, Stiff. The Damned on Stiff, backed with Help. I'm not sure who these composers are on Help. Some dudes named Lennon and McCartney. Fuck if I know. Anyway, there you go. I remember something about bonus points or bonus entry or whatever for some music-related story, and you said it would give you like a wide, you got kind of a wide berth. You were given a wide berth as to what could be music-related. I'm not going to, I don't know what the timing on this is going to be. I know you wanted it between 3.5 and 3.7 minutes, so I'll try to nail that. Anyway, it's the it's the mid-late 1990s. New Year's Eve is coming up. Me and a couple of guys, both named Dan, who I worked with at the time. Neither of us had girlfriends that we cared enough to share New Year's Eve with. And at the time, I was living in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is, even though it's in New York, it's kind of a suburb of Canada. Anyway, neither of the Dans had ever been to Montreal. Montreal is about 450 miles away from Buffalo, so about a 7-hour drive, if you know where the police are. Speed traps. So anyway, I got the 2 Dans to go to Montreal for New Year's Eve. So we head out. I'm driving, and we get into Montreal, and we're just like, fuck, you know, we don't know where we're going. We're just gonna go. You know, Rue Saint Denis is a cool street, a lot of good bars, you know, and you know, we start out, I think, at the Peel Pub, and then just kind of go from there. So, you know, New Year's Eve is going on, and we're just out, you know, we're stumbling from bar to bar, and then we come across a place called, we saw an ad for a place called the Purple Haze. So music related, and they're advertising a gothic and industrial New Year's Eve. So I'm like, all right, we're going. So we go. And, I'm kind of like, at the time, I'm just like kind of bopping around talking to different people. And the Dans are just kind of drinking, but kind of sitting to the side by themselves. So, New Year's gets rung in, and then they both come up to me like, hey, man, we're going to go. I'm like, all right. So, like, I pulled out the card for the hotel. I'm like, here's where the hotel is. You can take a cab, or here's walks just a couple of blocks. They're like, no, we all need to go. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I was having a good time. So finally I get the dance to go away. They go back to the hotel. I'm just having a good time as far as I can remember. Next thing I know, I wake up on New Year's Day in neurological intensive care at Montreal General Hospital. As I was kind of waking up, I could hear the nurses speaking in French. Yeah, I know some French. I could hear them saying in French that when I came in, I was, how they phrase it, belligerent and combative. And I was like, so then in English, I was like, as I was waking up, I replied, I was like, belligerent and combative? That couldn't have been me. And, so, I'm coming to, and then they wheel in the x-ray machine to x-ray my shoulder. They thought I broke my shoulder. I had fractured my skull. Nothing was displaced. I don't have a plate in my head or anything. I just bled out of my ear for a week. So anyway, Gothic and New Year's Eve turned into a skull fracture for me in Montreal in the middle of the late 90s. I finally talked them into releasing me, and I said I would check in with Buffalo General Hospital just to check on my head when I got back. Fortunately, one of the Dans was able to drive a stick because we were in my car, and it's a manual transmission. So we drove back and got back to Buffalo, and I bled for a week, and then I was fine. So there's your music-related story. Big ups on the subs, Brad. Congratulations on the 200, and here's to many more. Thanks for watching.